Cheers. My can't touch this dollar store mug. What's going on, friends? Ike here, and this is my first episode of DJ Talk. Now, I know a lot of you don't know this, but I've been a DJ since the early 90s for a very, very long time. It's a topic that I think I'm very knowledgeable with. I say I think because there's always something new to learn. What kind of DJing have I done? I've done clubs, I've done bars, I've done weddings, I've done mitzvahs, I've done tons of different stuff. I even had a little stint at a strip clubs. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. Longer than I'd like to admit, I guess. If you're going to share information on the internet, share stuff that you know about. That's probably the best thing. If everybody on YouTube did that, I think YouTube would be a better place. I've been doing this DJing long enough to say I'm an expert. I got the years and I got the hours. You know, it is the first episode, and I know there's a lot of young kids watching this, and the first question that I'm going to address: should I choose DJing as a career, as a job? And I know this is not a great answer, but in most cases, it depends. I got into DJing because I love music, and because of that, I have no regrets. I just love music and I love DJing, so I have no regrets in choosing this profession. Now, a lot of people think, hey, if you're an outgoing person, you should be a DJ. And if you like to go out and party and you're outgoing and you're a social butterfly, as they call it, you should be a DJ. I don't think that's the case. I think most DJs are introverts. They're not social butterflies. And let me try to explain this to you. If you're a DJ and you get some kind of success in it, your weekends are shot, pretty much. All the weekends and the party nights and Thanksgiving Eve, New Year's Eve are pretty much shot. So like if you're a social person and you like to go out with your friends and you like to mingle and have fun and dance, you're not going to get as many opportunities to go out and do that. You know, let me tell you a story. The first gig I ever went to, a private party that I ever went to, was a wedding. And I was a mixer for another DJ who was the MC/DJ. He would bring all the equipment and his music, and I would just help him mix and carry the stuff in and out. It was in a hotel in Saddlebrook, New Jersey. I just remember it. So the first party I ever did, I met a girl. And I was like, wow, this job is freaking awesome. I'm just going to be meeting women and having a good time, and this is the way things are going to be. And I got her number. We went out for a few weeks. It was a long time ago. She had a really cool car. She had a little Alfa Romeo Spider 2-seater. And you know what happens is, all right, you meet this girl. She's a normie. Normies are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, working, partying on the weekends type people. DJs don't fit that mold. DJs are weekend warriors. And during the week, you got free time to go out, but everybody else is not going out because they have to go to work, or, you know, there's like a big discrepancy in schedules. So I noticed that if you're a DJ, it's hard to keep a relationship with a normie. So DJs end up dating people that are in the service industry, like bartenders, people that work in the nightlife, and nurses, or any profession that has a weird schedule. DJs seem to have relationships with those girls. Any profession that has weird hours, like nurses, people working the overnight shift at hotels, and waitresses at diners, and those are the kinds of women that DJs end up dating. People think that when you're a DJ that you get to meet a bunch of women, and it's such a fun job, and you're like the alpha male and you can run around, and it's not the case. It's really not. So if you want to be a DJ to meet women and have relations with these women, it's very hard to do. Okay, that's one of the cons right there. Like if you have kids, and kids are normies. They go to school Monday through Friday, and then they have the weekends, and you're going to miss a lot of events with your kids. I mean, it's sad to say, because you're going to be working weddings and stuff, and your kids are going to be going to events on the weekends. So you're going to be like, you're going to spend time with your kids during the week, but on the weekends, if you have a family, it's going to be a strain, because their fun time is on the weekends and your work time's on the weekends. So it's like there's a conflict of schedule with your kids. And also, you know, all your friends from high school and college, it's going to weaken your network that you have now of friends from high school and friends from college, and you're going to have all these old friends. And, you know, I've missed quite a few weddings of friends that I should have been to because I had gigs booked. And that's the one thing I kind of regret about this career. You know, you have like a friend, but like when you start missing that friend's wedding, and you start missing your friends' engagement parties, or you start missing their kids' birthday parties and stuff like that, and it could strain your relationships with all the people you have in your network now. And then your circle of friends turn into like other DJs, because when people book you, they book you, you know, a year or two in advance. That's another thing about this. So being booked a year or two in advance kind of sucks. So then you got like a situation where your friend's like, hey, I'm getting married and it's going to be, you know, in August or whatever. And you look at your date and you're like, shit, I'm freaking working. So, you know, what do? The customer's expecting you to be there, and you should be there. That's the right thing to do. Do you try to like get another DJ to do it? I mean, is that right? And then is that going to cause a problem with your customer? You're going to be doing that DJ gig yourself, and you're going to miss a lot of functions and a lot of things from with your friends and family. And, you know, you might have a best friend from college, but if you start missing the best friend's engagement party, and you missed his wedding, and you miss his kid's first birthday, you're not going to be as close. That's all, you know, that's just inevitable. Because you're working a weird schedule, you're going to just have friends that are just weird DJs like you. It eventually comes to that, especially when you do it for a long period of time. Once you start DJing, it's very, very hard to quit. Like, I've been trying to retire for the last 10 years. I'll be honest with you. It's like the freaking mafia. It's like just when you think you're out, they pull you back in. Yeah, so like it's really tough from that point of view. Like, you're being booked a year or two ahead of time is like, you know, what do you do? So let's say I want to quit DJing tomorrow, but I have this wedding that's lurking in 2023. I can't sell my equipment. I can't just shut down my business. It's like, and then what do you do when you're waiting from now until that wedding? It's like you're not going to book any more parties. So it's extremely hard to retire. It's really hard to quit from this profession because you're booked so far in advance. You know, there's some DJs out there that just drop it and they just reschedule all their gigs, or to give them away, and they call their customers and say, look, I'm retiring, I can't do it. I mean, that takes some balls to do, but if you're going to retire from DJing, that's the only way to do it. So, you know, when choosing a profession, you also have to consider if the profession is future proof. A lot of DJs out there, they think that it's future proof, but I'm seeing a lot of changes in technology, a lot of changes in the way things are done. I think eventually technology might make us obsolete. I'm not talking about right away. I'm not talking about maybe in the next 5 years or 10 years. There's going to be a shift in the way DJing happens. And I think it has to do a lot with technology taking it over. Now, like, if you think about it, what does a DJ provide? Like, when you go to a private party, let's say you're doing a wedding, what do you provide? You provide your DJ skill, your DJing. So you provide yourself, you bring your sound system, and you bring your music library. Those are three things, the main things that we carry, aside from all the other peripherals like lighting and stuff like that. But those are the main things we provide. We provide a DJ, a music library, and sound. In the future, if a lot of venues start installing and building sound systems, and they have a computer, laptop, or even a phone, phones are getting powerful. Tablets, computers are getting really powerful. And the 5G is coming out. So you're going to have a lot of strong internet out there. There's a lot of DJ YouTubers out there that are pushing streaming services. They're sponsored by streaming services, and streaming services pay them, and they're pushing this streaming service. If a venue installs a sound system, they take care of the sound. The streaming services take care of the music and the playlists. If you think about it, even Spotify and Pandora, if you were to like look at their playlists, they have some really good playlists. If you were to say, oh, you know what, Spotify, play some 90s hip hop, play some 2000 EDM, their playlists are pretty freaking strong. So the programming end of it and the streaming services can provide the music. And then you have the third thing, which is the ability to mix, read a crowd, basically keep the party moving. That can be taken over by artificial intelligence. AI could be a DJ, because once files are digitized, they can program AI to echo out and scratch and do all kinds of things that DJs do now, and you know, and just mix like a DJ would mix. But I don't think anybody has seriously sat down and tried to create this program that's going to take over what DJs do. And somebody who's a savvy coder can make a program to mix music. There's a few programs out there that are not that good, but they're just going to get better. And I could imagine what they're going to be in 10 years. In 10 years, you're going to have the program is going to be mixing on beat. It's going to be scratching. It's going to be echoing in and out, and it's going to be it's going to do all kinds of stuff. You're going to chirp your record. You want to chirp the song, it'll chirp the song. If it'll put effects, it'll do all that stuff. Because of this 5G, and because everybody has a phone in their pocket, they could even have some kind of a feedback from the crowd. You could put sensors on a dance floor. That would be one kind of a feedback. You could have people log into a system and thumb up a song that you pay, or thumb it down, or you couldn't even send requests into there, and then the AI would figure out and how to fit it in or whatever. I'm looking at the way we used to mix back in the early 90s, when you had records and you had CDs, and just, you know, mixing, blending, scratching. Back then, there wasn't a lot of artificial intelligence helping you. Like, you had to map out the BPM to your songs. You had to learn the sets, and you had to put your music in order by BPM, and you had to think about what song was at the right BPM, and you know, once you started getting the hang of it, you used to be able to hear a song and you could figure out the BPM right away. I had a trick with that, because I knew like I knew Staying Alive was about 105 beats per minute. So what I would do is I would match it up to Staying Alive in my head. Like I would. So if I'm listening to Staying Alive in my head, and then that song seems faster, then I know it's like 110, 115. If it's a lot faster, then you know it's like 120. Or if you could tell if it's slower, because you're like. So that's the song I would use in my head back when I was like in the 90s, to figure out the BPM of a song without having to sit there and count the beats type stuff, you know? So I would hear like, and I was like, you know what? That song's about 110 BPM. So let me play some Chic, Good Times or something, whatever. But that's how I would calculate BPM in my head. But now you have artificial intelligence, where you just put your music in a program, build your overviews, and it'll tell you what BPM it is. It'll put everything in order. You could put everything in folders. You could put cue points, and you could do all this stuff. And I know you deny it, but that's a lot of DJs deny it, but that's artificial intelligence. That stuff is mixing for you. It's helping you immensely, because the way we did it in the 90s and the way we do it now is hugely different. And I'll be honest with you. I don't hear a lot of bad DJs anymore. Meaning, like, everybody's at a certain level because everybody has access to this artificial intelligence. You know, they have ways to sync. You have the sync button, the infamous sync button that Serato tried to avoid, but eventually Serato has a sync button, and Virtual DJ has a sync button. So you have these sync buttons that'll sync tempos for you if you don't know how to do that. access to music now is so much more easier than it was in the 90s. So you had bad DJs in the 90s because not all DJs had the right music. Certain DJs would have their music skewed to a certain genre. Like you might get a hip hop head that had a little bit of house, and then you had a crowd that was into house would say that DJ was the wrong DJ and the DJ sucked. Like in this modern age, I don't see a lot of bad DJs. So you have like DJs nowadays are kind of like okay to like extremely good. And then now people are just nitpicking about stupid stuff when it comes to DJing. Like if you shouldn't have an orange extension cord, or you need to do blah, 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 or whatever. Most DJs are actually good now. You had no visual feedback where like you're looking at Serato and you're watching the beats go by and you're matching it like a video game. You probably could get by without headphones nowadays. So you don't have to mix by ear anymore. You could literally mix visually. And then if you blend together a little bit of ear with some visual feedback, mixing today is a lot easier than it was in the early 90s. Early 90s, when I started, there was a huge difference between a good DJ and a bad DJ. And there was a lot of bad DJs. There was a few good DJs, and there was a big difference there. Modern times, most DJs are competent. And now I see how technology has come so far, and I'm seeing the next step that's coming up. Is DJing future-proof? I would say that's a hard no. It's not future-proof, because all you need is a venue that installs its own sound. You have a streaming library, and you have artificial intelligence to mix it together. So right now, that's the only thing that's missing, is somebody to mix the songs together and make a cohesive mix for people to dance to. That's the only thing that's missing, and that's not hard to program. I don't see it as being difficult to program because there are so many playlists now. There are so many good playlists. I'm surprised that sometimes, I'll just go on like Spotify and I'll be like, all right, I want to hear some freestyle, 80s freestyle. Boom. I want to hear, disco. Boom. I want to hear funk. Boom. All those playlists are really good. And now the artificial intelligence is learning, that people that like disco also like funk. People that like Justin Bieber probably will like Bruno Mars. People that like Lil Wayne will probably like Jay-Z. So it's like artificial intelligence is making these connections now. So the neural network of like programming is getting to the point where the computers are going to get really good at it, making playlists, and the computer programs are going to start being more automated. And that's going to start pushing DJs out, especially if DJs start raising prices. This technology is going to move even quicker. I know like the whole consensus is like everybody should raise their price. DJs deserve more. DJs deserve to get paid more than a photographer. We're more important. I'll make that argument in another video. Why DJs don't make as much as photographers. Everybody wants to increase their rates. Increase your rates. When DJs start getting up to like $5,000, people are going to start looking for alternatives. And when people start looking for alternatives, you're going to have some techie geeks start writing programs to fill these needs in. And then when that happens, the robots are going to take over. So it's not future-proof. So that's why I would not recommend anybody to put all your eggs in this basket of DJing at this point. If I was a young guy right now, I'm like 20 years old, I wouldn't pick DJing as a career. Maybe a hobby. Maybe you do an occasional gig here and there. If you want to play at a bar once a week or something, that's cool. If you love music, that's great. But DJing as a career right now, it's not future-proof. If they can make a computer to beat pretty much everybody in the world in chess, if they can make programs that can do legal attorney research, like that's what's happening with lawyers. Actually, lawyers are starting to get phased out by artificial intelligence that could do legal research better than humans. You got cars that can drive themselves. So if you can get a car to drive autonomously, you think they can't write a program to mix some songs together and come up with a good playlist? It's coming. I just want to put it out there. I think it's coming. I would give it about 10 years. It's not coming right away, but soon. In our lifetime, definitely, I'd say in 10 years, you're going to see artificial intelligence pushing, taking over. These are just a few things to think about before you choose DJing as a career. This was episode 1. I hope you liked it. Comment, subscribe, do all those things, because I want to keep putting out more content like this, because I kind of feel the DJ community could use some knowledge from an old boomer like me that's been at it for a long time. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for watching, and I'll smell you later.